I am Rosemary K. Lyons. If you want to reach me, you got to use the K, okay? This particular piece is a part of a brand new series. I work in series forever and ever and ever. And I got interested in medieval methods and methodologies. I was staying in New York, and I woke up at 7:30 in the morning and said, I know what I have to do. And my first piece in this vein was an article from the New York Times about Judge Thomas, who apparently has made rich and famous, and yet has neglected his mother and sister, who are living behind in poverty. So the first letter of the article was an I, which I used as the vertical beam of a scale of justice. And there he is, all portly guy, weighing it down, and then his sister is standing in front of a broken screen door on the other side. And I did the whole article, and I did it in Celtic, which is called unsealed calligraphy. And it's like, that was so satisfying to me, because I'm a very political person, and I have a lot of rage. I think maybe that's my Irish heritage. As a matter of fact, I was living in New York City again a second time, and I was working on my own autobiography, which I did as a French manuscript. And I'm working on that, and I'm reading how Thomas Cahill's How the Irish Saved Civilization. And I went, oh my God, I am the sum token of my cultural heritage. Because back when they had all that time doing those books, there were women in the monasteries also doing this kind of work. So I actually went to Dublin, and I saw the Book of Kells, and it was not open to a carpet page, which everybody loves, but here's this page of calligraphy, and I just went, oh my God, it's so beautiful. I hope you appreciate it. This is magic here. And people are like, yeah, sure. And I had a big show in New York of a lot of this political work, a lot of verbiage in it, a lot of beautiful calligraphy and beautiful detailed borders and all that kind of stuff. And the gallery owner said, I can't get anybody to read your work. And I went, what do I do now? So I've been on several trips down the road, but I do like medieval techniques. And I'm not exactly sure why. Before I started these paintings, I was doing 6 by 10 foot paintings of doors. Trompe-l'oeil doors. That when the door would open, I would cut the canvas and put another canvas behind it. And they were somewhat autobiographical, but they were very, very popular, and they were showing in 3 places through New York State, and I went, nope, I'm done. I gotta do this. So I started doing that. My first work that was shown here in Buffalo was a Book of Hours, which is a very medieval tradition. You all know about it. And that was wealth. If you had a Book of Hours, you were a wealthy person. And it was also very handy because you could take it with you. And so I did a Book of Hours for a person living with AIDS. And it still chokes me up. I never met him till the night of the opening. Instead, he journaled for me for a couple of weeks, and I turned his journaling into this beautiful manuscript. And the original was done on real parchment, which is not paper, it's animal skin, with real gold leaf and wonderful paint and tiny, tiny detail. And then we made copies of that, and the copies of that then were a fundraiser here in Buffalo for AIDS Family Services, and in New York City, where it was shown also, it was for In God's Love We Deliver. So, you don't make a lot of money being an artist. I've never really cared. I'm a failed capitalist. So I taught, and I was very good at it, and I loved it, but it also gave me the freedom to do what the fuck I wanted. And I've been doing it ever since. So I've done a lot of gold leaf. I did some altar pieces that were shown here. And right now there's one in Chicago, there are 4 in Rochester, there are 2 at the Castellani, and there's one in Chicago. Very popular again. And I went, done. I went on and I did James Joyce's Ulysses in Celtic calligraphy with illuminations from the Lindisfarne's Gospel, the Book of Kells, and the Book of Durrow. Now I did 20 pages in calligraphy from the book, 20 pages from the Wikipedia entry, I love that too, the Wikipedia entry about his trial. Because it was Bennett Cerf from Ramden House that actually got it published in the United States. They weren't going to do it. He was accused of unparlor-like behavior and obscenity and pornography. Well, then the lawyers they just blew that case apart. So I did, after that I did 20 pages from Molly Bloom's soliloquy, which is what got him into trouble in the first place. Because you don't allow a woman to talk about sex. Fuck that noise. So, on to this series here. Now, that took me a couple of months. Now, in March, I was swimming. I'm a rabid swimmer. And I get into the Zen state. And it allows me to just go everywhere. And I'm thinking, all right, I finished with the altarpiece. I finished with the... What am I going to do? What am I going to do? What am I good at? I am damn good at flower paintings. I love doing them. They're all from my actual garden. It's like, wow, that's a really good thing. But how am I gonna, it's gotta have something more. Because to me, art has to be more. It has to stand for something beyond itself. So I thought, wow. And I started thinking about some of the things that have happened to me, happened to you, happened to you, happened to you, happened to you. And I said, okay, tell me a story. And women that I would meet, and you're all invited to contribute, would give me a story, a short story, and I would take a sentence or two from that, and I would do it in calligraphy with these beautiful flowers. And the series is called Beauty and the Beast. And my plan for this, again, I'm a failed capitalist, so my plan for this is truly to use this for the greater good. So I'm on number 30 when I leave here. And I'm going to make copies of them. Not great, fantastic, archival copies. Make copies of them. Anybody who gives me a story gets one for free. Anybody who doesn't want to have one, $5, $10, whatever you can afford, right? $2, yeah, you can have it. But I'm going to start a fund for Lindy Korn, who's a lawyer downtown, who takes care of people, mostly women, in the workplace who have been sexually abused or harassed. So that's what I'm doing, and please, Rosemary K. Lyons at gmail.com. Send me a story. Thank you.